Valorant's newest character, Harbor, was just revealed today, and with it we have a ton of details about their abilities. And he is meant to be a replacement or a substitute for VIPER. So let's see how the two agents compare side by side when you break down the numbers. Harbor is meant to be a replacement for VIPER in the fact that he has a wall ability that lasts a pretty long time. No other character in the game is considered a wall smoker except for VIPER, and so this finally gives her some competition. Now, both of these characters' signature abilities are their walls. Let's break down the facts of both. VIPER has a straight wall that she can place down and then at any time activate, and as long as she has Toxin, the wall stays up. Then the wall can come down and can then be reactivated later when she generates more Toxin. Harbor, on the other hand, works more similar to like Omen or Brimstone, where he is going to put down his wall and it has a set amount of time, and after that time, the wall goes down. And then after a cooldown, he gets another one. So very, very similar to Omen in that way. However, we need to talk about the amount of time that the wall will actually be up. Because Harbor uses a recharge system and a set time on his wall, and VIPER uses the Toxin system, it can be a little bit difficult to compare and see whose walls are up for longer. So let's look at the numbers. Starting off, let's talk about VIPER. VIPER's wall or her orb can be up for 15 seconds. If you activate it with full Toxins, it will be up for 15 seconds. It then takes 20 seconds to recharge from 0 Toxin to 100% Toxin. However, this only starts when the wall goes down. Therefore, it takes about 35 seconds to do a full cycle of placing your wall, having it go up, having it go down, and then having your wall go back up again. Harbor, on the other hand, his wall can also be up for 15 seconds. So at a time, Harbor's and VIPER's wall can be up for the same amount of time. However, it takes 40 seconds to recharge instead of 20. The big kicker is Harbor's wall starts recharging the second you use the ability. So that means he has a 40-second loop in terms of being able to cast another ability, meaning there is only a 5-second difference. However, there are some differences between it. VIPER doesn't have to wait for her entire Toxin bar to refill to use her wall. On the other hand, Harbor's smoke doesn't reduce the amount of time the wall stays up. If VIPER wants to use her smoke in a site take, it actually reduces the time on both of them to 10 seconds, which then means Harbor's wall would be up for longer. So there are going to be a lot of trade-offs, and that's kind of the thing. This is very much balanced out to be the walls in general are going to be the same. However, both have their advantages and disadvantages when it comes to the actual effect. In the average game, it's only a 5-second difference between the two, and when you consider the fact that VIPER can't use her smoke without using that Toxin, I'm going to say this pretty much comes up to being even. Except that Harbor actually has 2 wall abilities. He has another wall that goes forward and is this little micro wall, and with that, I would say they are pretty equal, if not the fact that Harbor is going to have more walls. Generally, I think this means Harbor is going to be the better pick for things like Breeze, where wall characters are so important, because you can use your wall on like B site Breeze and then go run over to A site and use your wall there. But that really is what it comes down to, all the little things. So let's break down kind of the pros and cons of VIPER versus Harbor's walls. All right, so there are like 4 to 5 things for each wall that make it unique. So let's start with VIPER. VIPER's wall is easy to redeploy in the same spot, as she doesn't actually technically have to recast the ability or do any animation. Enemies lose HP when they walk through the wall or stay in the wall. VIPER doesn't need to wait for the full recharge in order to use the wall again, and she can place the wall pre-round, which makes her pretty good on defense. Harbor, on the other hand, is not locked down. He can cast his wall in different places, so he's a lot more flexible than VIPER. As well, enemies are slowed when they walk through, so they're not taking damage, but they are being slowed, which will give you an advantage if they try and peek your wall. In addition, he has 2 walls, so he technically doesn't need to wait for his full recharge either. He can at least get a small wall. He can also bend the wall, meaning there are going to be a lot more sites that he can kind of take control of. Think about on Haven. You can shoot the wall forward, bend it around to A Heaven, and then bend it around to CT. Like, you can do some really crazy walls. And here's the biggest one, and the reason why I think Chamber is going to replace VIPER. It does not go down when you are suppressed by KO or when you die. If you get killed while you're entering site, your wall stays up and your team is still protected. And I think that is the biggest factor to Harbor versus VIPER. VIPER sees a lot of play because she is so unique. There is no one else that does that job, and now there is, so there is going to be some actual competition. I'm sure there are going to be maps where Viper is preferred over Harbor, but I think in general, the ability to be more flexible, depending on how your opponents play, as well as the fact that you don't necessarily need to stay alive, will just lead to Harbor being the better pick. Now, I think this kind of varies. I think Harbor will be the better pick on offense, but still, Viper is the better pick on defense 100%. She can preset up her utility. It is impossible to push against a Viper like smoke or wall easily. Like, you are going to have to do a lot to get rid of it. The biggest advantage Harbor has is that his wall does not go down with suppress. On top of that, Harbor has some other cool abilities. His ult is really interesting. His, smoke that blocks bullets has a lot of implication. Like, Harbor, I expect to be the main controller on Pearl. But yeah, that's how it goes. Numbers-wise, they have their smokes up for pretty much the same amount of time when you consider Viper has to share it between her smoke and her wall, and the fact that Viper's full cycle recharge is about 5 seconds less. Either way, guys, I want to know your guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Which character do you think is going to be the better pick? Breaking down the numbers, I think it just makes sense that Harbor is the better pick. He's pretty much equivalent to Viper in actual wall up time, but doesn't go down with KO suppress. I will see you guys in the next one. I am doing a live stream tomorrow where I actually test out Harbor, so you guys should stick around for that. Bye.